Our next talk is going to be related to cross-chain simulators, and our speaker is Andrej Rakic. I've honestly had a chance to listen to Andrej a couple of times, and every time it was perfect. So you have the stage. Andrej, come here.
Okay, cool. Hello, everyone. Okay, this works. Cool. So, yeah, hello, everyone. My name is Andrej. I work as a developer relations engineer in Chainlink Labs. You can find my Twitter handle up here, and also this URL is this thing. So, in my spare time, I'm writing smart contract design patterns newsletter, which hopefully is going to be a book one day. It's about advanced design patterns in smart contract development. But that's not what I'm going to talk about today. Today I'm going to talk about how we build a local cross-chain simulator in Chainlink. I'm not going to demo the tool for you, but rather I'll speak how we approach architecture and designing of that tool. So the first thing is that you need to start with the problem. So all great ideas start with the problem that needs to be solved. And in this particular case, the problem was that development with CCAP directly on testnets is slow and occasionally painful. And I was the first one to actually experience this problem because before we launched CCAP, I had the privilege to play with it internally while it was still in the development. So I already understood that pain because for me, it took me like 15 minutes to send a cross-chain message from Sepolia to another testnet, only to realize I have a bug or a flaw in my code because I still, at the time, didn't know how to use Chainlink CCAP properly. So debugging was also painful because I needed to do it directly on-chain. Obviously, after we launched the CCAP, soon after we got exactly the same complaints from developers, and because we were already familiar with the problem, we were able to quickly address it and lower that time from 15 minutes to less than a second. So what I want to try to say that in best case, you yourself are the target user. Because in general, it's the best if you build something you yourself need. And as I said, if you yourself are a target user, you'll understand it much better than if you need to talk to developers to build a proof of concept. These are the problems I mentioned, and these are the problems with building with Chainlink directly on testnets, and actually any other solutions, because you first need to deal with faucets and tokens. We know how sometimes painful it is to get Sepolia 8, for example. Then you need to wait for transactions. Then there are occasional gas spikes. So now simple action costs much more. So you, again, out of your funds. And in the case of early CCAP, we will need to wait 10 plus minutes just to test a single cross-chain message or a token transfer, only to realize that we introduce a bug or a flaw in our code. And what developers want, and what I wanted as a target customer, was to build something locally in my own development environment. I prefer Foundry, you maybe prefer Hardhat. What we came to a conclusion that we need to support Foundry, Hardhat, and Remix, because those are the frameworks that majority of developers will cover. And introducing every new framework will increase the complexity of the product, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute, how some stuff are extremely easy to be done in Foundry, but extremely hard in Remix, and you kind of need to support everything, right? Because you need to have like a perfect product. Then what developers want is like rapid prototyping without any extra points of friction. So we added a custom functionalities to like a function request link from faucet. So in your build local environment, you have even like link tokens, all the tokens, everything. So you just work on your code, run a test, see a bug, fix it, log, and all of that stuff. And the most important thing for this tool was to ability to migrate those contracts to public test networks once they are ready for public test network testing without a single modification. So what you build locally with this tool, you can now port back to testnets, and without changing anything except for maybe config details, it must work one-to-one. So that one-to-one compatibility is hard. So now we started thinking about, okay, how we're gonna solve this problem. The obvious, maybe, solution was to have a Docker image to spin up a couple of Chainlink nodes, etc. But that's problematic because, like, again, you need to support Remix, Hardhat Foundry. That is a slow process, can be unreliable. Docker image can, I don't know, Docker build can fail. You add another prerequisite to developers to be familiar with Docker or to have it installed on their machine, etc. So we tried something simpler. And simplicity is always good. So we thought, okay, what developers want to accomplish is to make sure their smart contract is CCP compatible. So when they go to test network and main networks where there is a CCP, everything's going to work. So we assume that CCP will work. And we ditched the off-chain components totally. So if you want to test black swan scenario when CCP is down or whatever, go ahead, mock it. But for this tool, we completely removed it. And we said, OK, we're going to assume off-chain components will always work. We're going to treat them as a black box. And we're going to just deal with a simple solidity. So we're going to rely on events emitted by those contracts. And then our tool will do the manual switch to different networks and different transfer. And that result in tests completed in 0.20-something seconds in Foundry and a little less than 1 second in Hardhat because Hardhat is slower. And this is the solution. Basically, this is the tool I was talking about called Chainlink Local, and this is the GitHub URL where you can find it. So last year, we published it as a cross-chain simulator for CCP stuff. But since then, because we had initial success with this tool, it evolved. So now it supports most of the other Chainlink products. We have support for data feeds, for data streams, for automation, and VRF, I think, on a beta. So yeah, using exactly the same approach, we then solved the problem with data streams because, again, there wasn't mock contracts with data streams, etc. But what I'm trying to say is that this is the tool that we created, and it started literally as a proof of concept that I did after one of our gatherings in person. After that proof of concept, 1 month of work on these architectural designs, blah, blah. Year later, we now have a dedicated docs page. We have a Chainlink local swag. We have everything is like a full product loved by developers. And the important part is that you need to constantly talk with developers to improve your product. So yeah, this is another slide about what Chainlink Local is. As I said, is a dependency that allows you to build with CCP in local blockchain environment with Hardhat, Foundry, and Remix. And the main architectural decision is that it abstracts the off-chain part of CCP. And these are the numbers in a speed increase. We got 2,000 compared to previous state, which was significant. And also says highly configurable, supports local chains and forks. What that means is that we created a new set of smart contracts that if you want to test with specific chains, like, I don't know, Arbitrum to Optimism for in that particular block for that particular state, whatever, you can also do that with the same speed. The next step now is with CCP being live on Solana, we need to support Solana locally. And again, we need to add Anchor, so that's another complexity that we need to introduce. And also, those two does not work quite well locally because a completely different thing. So now we again need to sit in front of the whiteboard and try to figure out how we are gonna build this thing. So what I'm trying to say is our approach is to design a product, talk with developers, realize what they want, what they want to click, this, or this. I'm now mimicking this, instead of being limited by technology. Instead of saying, well, we cannot do that because Solana is doing things this way and EVM is doing things that way, and they need to spin up Docker images or whatever to support it, or Anchor build with this version does not work, we're going to say, OK, how we're going to abstract all of that stuff from developers, so when they use the tool, it's a simple of writing contract, program, click, run test, and just work seamlessly. I don't know how we're going to solve it yet. We have some ideas. It's not ready yet. But this is the same problem we had a year ago. and that we solved for EVM at least. So what was our approach after the proof of concept? We talked to developers. We talked with them a lot, because developers are our target customers. And it was great when I had the problem, because when I and my team, were the initial target customers. But since then, the tool evolved. We were lucky that our community is big. We have a community of so-called developer experts. They're extremely technical individuals from our community. And most of them are quite willing to test this stuff with us. So I said, do we have volunteers who would like to walk them through the design, through initial phases? A lot of feedback we got that never see the day of the light, because we just ditched those versions in the early alpha testing with our developer experts, because they're technical and they're also using Chainlink, so they know what they want essentially. But the feedback that I used as a construct was I don't know, how to say that. I want this thing to be faster, or this was a painful thing to do, instead of hey, why don't you use hardhead ignition? So I don't care about the underlying technology. That's not the type of feedback I'm looking for. I'm looking for the type of feedback that is related to developer experience. Because based on developer experience and what we want to build, then we're going to pick up the technology that's going to run under the hood. Because they don't even need to care about the tech under the hood, right? They just need to be a fast thing. And it's really important to let your idea evolve as you get feedback from users. So that was initial feedback. But after we launched, there was Chainlink Hackathon. There was ETH Global. There was another ETH Global hackathon. There was ETH Global at ETHCC in Brussels. So we went to all of these events, and we talked to developers. We saw them how they use the tool. I debugged stuff with them. I literally was seeing how a guy was writing the tool, etc. And I think one of our biggest advantages was that developers were desperate for a solution, because without this tool, it's 15 plus minutes for a simple cross-chain transfer. And when users are desperate for a solution, they are willing to put with imperfect but rapidly improving product. And this allowed us to move quickly. We had something, early versions. It was imperfect versions, but based on that feedback, idea evolved. And because we're a small team, this is pretty much coding part was done by myself, for 95%. I was able to move forward because it's just myself, it's much faster. So what I'm trying to say is that after 9 months at ETHCC Brussels, there was one really respected developer in the community. He won multiple prizes at ETH Global, our own hackathons, etc. And he came to pitch us the idea, and I saw from the GitHub that he used the tool. And I said, may I ask, what was your experience with Chainlink Local? Do you have any feedback or a feature request or whatever? And he said, this is probably one of the best things, if not the best thing you guys built. And I was like, okay, cool. We made this tool perfect for one person. Now our next goal is to make the perfect tool for 100 persons. And after that, you get the grow by the word of mouth. Because your colleague will tell you, this is a cool tool, this is a cool product, let's use it because of this. Not because it has other incentives. I think that's pretty much it that I want to share with you guys. Yeah, another thing is that this tool was also, there was a Uniswap hook hackathon or something, and there was guys that build hooks with CCAP, and when we judged them, I went through GitHub, and every single one of them used the tool, and that was my how to say that. At that point, I knew that we did something good, that we built something great. And also, I can tell that this tool is now used by some of our customers from banking sector, like DTCC, or from our blockchain sector, like Aave and Gnosis. So, yeah, it's been a year, but it's been an interesting year for us. So, if you want to try it, this is the QR code, and this is the link again, so you can try it, use it, report bugs, because, as I said, You need to rapidly improve your product by talking to the developers. And this pretty much sums my talk. If you have any questions, I'm here to answer them, or at least to try answering them. Thank you.
Hey, yeah, thank you. Chainlink local is like really huge. I started, like the first time I used CCIP was at the SmartCon in 2023, and it was like, yeah, 15-minute wait times on Sepolia, so yeah, it's really great. Do you have compatibility with functions yet?
No, and that's intentional, because for functions, there is an NPM package with local simulations and local testnets, etc. Functions toolkit. And it has literally, I think, like a portable Ganache instance that runs under the hood that's compatible with Anvil, with Hardhat Node, etc. So what I thought initially, after I add supports for all Chainlink services to Chainlink Local, maybe I can merge those two. But then I realized that'll create like tons of tech debt, and I haven't heard from developers like a huge demand to be part of the Chainlink Local, because a lot of them were familiar with the process with working with Functions Toolkit, and I wouldn't improve anything, I would just merge the two. So for now, we decided we have it in a backlog, but I haven't started implementing it. If developers like you come and demand that explicitly, we can talk and we can add it. Like it's not a huge lift because we already have a functionality, just in a different place.
Yeah. And do you plan to have Chainlink Local ready to be compatible with CRE?
Yes.
On release? Because that would be huge. That'd be awesome.
I can't tell that now, but yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. You're welcome. Any more questions? Going once, going twice. If not, I'm done. Okay, cool. Thank you, guys.